MyMac Podcast 954. Getting Gaz's Goat.
And welcome everyone to the MyMac.com podcast. Last Monday night at 8 p.m., which is the latest that I'm aware of that Apple's ever held an event. They also made it the shortest event ever. And it could have been even shorter if they had snapped it up with all the processor talk. And you know, don't get us wrong. We love some of the finer details, but when you have an event that's blinking, you'll miss it. Having half of it taken up talking about cores and M1 Intel comparisons is kind of weak sauce. Yeah, it really kind of is. Hello, Gaz. How are you doing? Whoop.
I am doing absolutely spondrific, Guy. Yes, it was. I got to say, I didn't wake up at 1 or 12 or whatever it was in the morning to watch it. I do believe some of our compatriots over here did so, maybe, and good luck on them if they did. But I wasn't one of them. No, and I'm glad I wasn't one of them because I might have been, although actually if it had been shorter, then it's not so bad because, great, I can go back to sleep now, would have been what they've been saying, rather than it going on for an hour and a half and then, you know, they're not being able to get back to sleep and been awake for about 3 hours during the night. So, yeah.
You're talking about the Mac and Forth guys. Aren't most of those guys retired at this point?
I don't think Carl is retired.
Well, no, not Carl. Well, but Carl was one of the guys that was like, I'm not staying up for this.
No. Well, I'm not sure. I've heard a few others as well. It's not just those guys that listen to, but I think a few other people that were possibly staying up for it. But as I say, good luck on them. And it was short, so they could get straight back to sleep and straight back to bed. So that's good. So, I mean, what have you been doing this week? Have you been working out?
Toss it right back over.
I can jump in. I can jump in if you want me to, but I think it's kind of linked. No. That's why I went with it. Really,
it's too late, Gaz. It's too late. We've already made the transition. All right. I would love to tell you, Gaz, all about the Mac Mini Studio that I just bought, but there's no M3 magic in that stable yet, so I'm waiting. And the other kind of weird thing beyond what you and I were talking about before the show, which we're not right here. CarPlay in my Kia Soul is acting very weird lately. It's not connecting to the car's unit. And I even went out and bought some new USB A. Is it USB A? The regular one? Yeah. USB A to lightning cables. Cause of course I'm still on the 13, but only 1 foot long. Yeah. Still on the 13. Only 1 foot long. So I don't have like a whole bunch of cables.
A load of cable.
Spilling out everywhere. And that wasn't really doing it. What I have to do is restart the phone almost every single time. And that's really, really annoying. And I'm hoping, you know, I don't know if anybody else has had this problem, but it's certainly been an issue for me. And you know, you're driving and and the whole point of CarPlay and Android Auto is that you're not holding your phone in your hand and you're able to do stuff with it hands-free.
Yes.
If it doesn't connect, then you have to restart it while driving down the road, which of course I wasn't doing because that would be illegal.
Illegal, yes.
I wasn't doing that.
Officer.
But I did manage. Really, swear to God. Or, you know, somebody. I did manage to get the phone restarted and it would start to work again, but it is very, very annoying. So, Gaz, how about you?
Well, again, this week I've done lots of volunteering, laying dead hedges, clearing areas. I know. Okay. I thought I could see the facial go, huh? Dead hedges? What? So what we do is
here's the thing. When you say something like that, the thing that goes through my head is calling a store that sells plants and going, yes, I need a bunch of dead hedges that I can plant.
No, that's not. No. So we go to an area and cut a load of stuff back. And if it's great big long branches, we then use that to then create a hedge, which obviously is really good for wildlife, and it stops people going through to an area without having to pay for lots of fencing, because they don't actually
Okay.
need lots of fencing. So they call it dead hedging, because basically you're using dead material just to pile it up. And
Okay.
if you use pretty thick stuff, and then you can redo it each year, so you put some stakes in the ground and it stands up. It's quite useful, but you've got to have a lot of stuff to cut back. I also went on 2 bike rides, total about 70 miles. One was about 50 and the other was about, well, in fact, it might be more than 70 miles. One was 50 and one was nearly 20. Been helping our eldest lay some floorboards in her bathroom, because they're having that stripped out. And when they pulled up certain areas, there was all sorts of holes in the floorboards. And tonight is, as we record, is November the 5th.
Yes.
And that is basically Guy Fawkes Night here, a tradition which is unfortunately a little bit dying out in some areas, where we burn an effigy of a man, Guy Fawkes. Morbid, huh? Yes, I know.
Yeah, a little bit.
But he tried and failed to blow up Parliament in the Gunpowder Plot of 1605. Well, all I can say, Guy, is all is forgiven. I wish Guy would come back.
Well, yeah. You know, don't think that's happening.
No, but I think there's a lot of people like Mr. Fawkes to come back and do something similar at the moment. Anyway, no, I'm not asking people to do that.
We're just having a laugh.
Anyway, I had a couple of friends on a Thursday and was busy on Friday, having an odd issue on my iPhone at the moment, where the search feature occasionally doesn't show the keyboard. So I swipe down to do a search, and there's no keyboard. And then I do it again, and there's no keyboard. And I've not yet worked out when that happens, but apparently that is a known fault, because I've heard a few other people talking about it. So I hope they get that sorted. And then I thought, what's going on with my phone? I've got a problem here, because it charged up to 100%. Well, I've done the battery optimization where I ask it only to charge up to 80%. So I thought, Anyway, I've got 2 Gaz's links. A link to the Apple article saying it will occasionally charge up to 100%. So it's going through its cycle mode. So that reason will be on the link that I'll go for Gaz's link. And also another link to the MyMac Sonoma issue, which is the wallpaper issue not changing correctly. That is ongoing, and that particular link to the support issue, again, is going to put in Gaz's link, because lots of people are having that issue. So I hope Apple, that they are reading their own support articles and get in there and have a look at it to see what's going on. Sorry, discussions. It's not a support article. It's a discussions, but it's on an Apple discussion thread. So yeah, I hope they get that sorted, because that is, I'm just getting annoyed because it's not cycling through all of my pictures. You have to, if you remember, I think I mentioned this a few weeks ago, you have to go in and click on every single photo. And if you've got several thousands in a group that you want, there have been all sorts of people on there saying, "Oh, well, it's not happening to me." Oh, well, goody for you. But there's enough people on there that it is happening to. And they're saying, well, just click on each of the pictures and then it will sort it out. No, that's not the resolution here. Apple have got to get it fixed. So I'm hoping that they do. Yeah.
It's like the Beatles song. You say you want a resolution.
Going for a resolution.
Oh, speaking of which, did you hear that new Beatles song? Beatles song.
Yes, I have. I haven't heard it yet properly. No, actually, that's a lie. I have heard it briefly, but not all the way through yet.
Okay.
Yeah. And it's not really a new Beatles song. Let's be clear.
No.
Here.
Well, you can't actually have a brand new, from all 4 guys, since 2 of them have passed away.
Yes.
It's basically when John Lennon recorded the Double Vision studio sessions. This was like just a little demo, and it wasn't even like, if you hear the original track that he recorded, it doesn't really sound that good. because
No, no.
there was really nothing
Well,
going on.
can we leave that there? Because I've just realised I've been listening to something on the BBC, and I'm going to put it in Gaz's link for pick's sake.
Oh, okay.
Because it talks all about that and how they did it, and it's
Okay,
brilliant.
good.
Really is good. So,
and it took them until now for the technology to catch up.
Yep, correct.
For them to be able to do it.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's I'll put
It's
that in Gaz's link.
The process
because it is
really
interesting. Cool. I think we ought to jump into Gaz's snippets. Oh, smooth, baby, smooth.
So smooth.
So smooth.
Just like we know what we're doing.
We know what we're doing. And if you got a decent YouTube channel, Guy, Apple has been sending out gift boxes with Apple AirPods Max and snacks to promote the M3 Mac event. You see, if you had a big enough channel, mate, you could have got one of these. It also had, spooky snacks and a drink. Don't know what the drink was. Blood, probably.
Well, I don't get no respect. No respect.
No respect. Apple says BMW wireless chargers really are messing with iPhone 15s. An anonymous reader shares a report. Users have been reporting that their iPhone 15's NFC chips were failing after using BMW's in-car wireless charging. But until now, Apple hasn't addressed the complaints. We'll see if that becomes a bigger issue in the future.
So it's only the chargers, the Qi chargers that are in BMWs.
Apparently, yeah, that's all I've seen from that particular message at this stage.
Okay,
yes,
sounds like a they problem.
Yep, could be. Okay, so these are 3 Apple articles. Obviously, these happened last week, so I'm mentioning them. Most people here will know this happened. Apple unveils the M3, M3 Pro, and M3 Max, the most advanced chips for a personal computer. Apple supercharges the 24-inch iMac with a new M3 chip, and Apple unveils a new MacBook Pro featuring M3 chips. Moving on. Apple just killed off the last Mac with a touch bar. Well, when I say killed it, they've killed the production of any new ones. Let's get it factually correct. Apple's $49 USB-C to MagSafe 3 cable now comes in space black. At $49, I'd expect it to come in gold.
I would expect it to make me a sandwich.
Sandwich. Hey, I'm making a sandwich.
Make me a sandwich.
Apple sends iPhone hack warning to the Indian opposition leader.
Okay.
Thanks for that.
Yeah.
There is a clip that goes behind the scenes at the Scary Fast Apple's keynote event shot on iPhone. Might mention that later. Apple just started rolling out new AirTag firmware. So if you've got an AirTag, try and get the firmware updated. Don't ask me how.
And here's how you do it.
No. We might come up with a way next week. Apple's app charges violate the EU antitrust law, Dutch agency says, Guy. It's not just you. Apple weather widget is showing a file icon instead of snow. A few days ago, Apple released released watchOS update that fixed an annoying bug affecting the weather app complication, which had been broken for months since the watchOS 10 beta. But it seems that Apple still has other bugs to fix in its weather app.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. It's one of those things you walk outside and you say, I wonder if it's cold enough to file.
Very good. I like what you did there. Apparently, Tap to Pay continues expansion. It's coming to Ukraine. I'm not sure that's high on their priority list, Apple, but well done.
Yeah, they may have a few other things going on in Ukraine to worry about, other than, half of our village is destroyed, but I can go to the store and get a Zagnut candy bar and pay it with my phone.
Sonic Dream Team, Guy, is arriving on December 5th on Apple Arcade. Here's the big word, exclusively. Dun, dun, dun.
Until they release it for everywhere else.
Yes, Apple has announced a new movie, The Family Plan, starring Mark Wahlberg, streaming in time for Christmas. I can imagine what that's going to be like. Apple could still face a $2 billion penalty over iPhone throttling from years ago. There's a 2 billion lawsuit guy coming out of the UK. That ain't gonna happen. No, 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 no. Me think they've been over egging the cost.
Just
Mind
a
you.
little.
Oh no, actually I forgot there. 1.9 of that 2 billion will actually go to the lawyers, of course.
Wait, hold on. Lawyers filing frivolous lawsuits to make a lot of money for people who will never see a dime of it. No, I cannot. I can't.
You can't believe that
any
sort
time
of thing
that's
would
ever
happen.
happened.
Ever. Since
Ever.
2015, Apple has acquired more than 24 artificial intelligence companies. Now, what I'd like to ask is it because the companies the artificial intelligence is telling them to buy more artificial intelligence companies, or
Probably.
do they? Not quite sure what's going on.
Yeah, just put that in ChatGPT and see what comes up.
Yeah. Apple Watch support for Android was nearly complete, but cancelled to protect the iPhone. Sales.
Says who?
Says
oh,
who?
Okay.
Says a certain website. I'm not going to give them kudos.
No, I wouldn't. Not for a story like that.
But it kind of makes sense. It kind of makes sense. It does kind of make sense if you think about it.
Not really. I mean, Apple, if you have people that are dedicated to the Android system or the Android ecosystem, and they're like, I've been hearing a lot of great things about the Apple Watch, and now it works with my Android phone. They buy one, and it's like the new gateway product. They see how well it works, and they're like, I bet this works even better on an iPhone. Yes, it does. So I'm sorry. I just don't see this as a
perhaps they were worried about the sales going the other way. But anyway, it's not released. Apple Music discontinues a $5 voice plan that was only accessible through Siri. I didn't even know this existed.
I don't think most people did.
Apple last week held a special event.
They did?
Did they? To announce new Macs. But what the company didn't tell us is that it had just quietly discontinued the Apple Music voice plan that let users access the entire Apple Music catalog for just $5 a month. Now actually thinking about it, I do remember this. But nobody thought that anybody was ever going to use it, and it looks like that's exactly what's happened.
That's pretty much what happened.
Apple has stopped signing the 17.03 and unpatched versions of 15. Let me start that again. Apple stops signing iOS 17.0.3 and unpatched versions of iOS 16 and iOS 15. Macs with the M3 chip still officially support only a single external display. I'll leave that there hanging in the wind. Apple are preparing to release iOS 17.1.1 update for the iPhone. I don't normally bring these in until they're actually released, but I brought this in because I think they've got a few bug fixes there that they need to fix, guy, and I think they need to bring this out quickly as they can, please. Thank you very much. Apple reports fourth quarter 2023 results, 23 billion profit on an 89.5 billion revenue. There were lots of analysts that expected the slight decline that happened in their profits, but they still went ahead and kicked them for it afterwards. But there you go.
Of course they did.
Of course they did. I don't think the results were as bad as people were coming out and talking about, saying how bad they were. I think they were not too bad at all, especially in the current climate. But Apple expects the December quarter revenue to be similar to last year's, despite one fewer week. So that will be interesting if they can hit that. As we were just talking about, the Mac revenue was down 34% year over year, but Tim Cook expects significant improvement with M3 Macs. Yeah, actually their profits were the same, but the revenue was lower, wasn't it? The profits were quite similar, I think. I think that's how it ended up anyway. Go and find the results, folks, if you want to look at it, if you're that desperate. We're not really very good at that bit.
Well, you know what? It always comes down to Here's Apple's quarterly report. They made a lot of money.
Still 23 billion, yes.
Yeah.
I just like the headline on this. Apple CEO Tim Cook on generative AI. We're investing quite a bit. Brilliant. Love it.
Thanks, Tim.
Love it. Thanks. Samsung to follow iPhone 15 Pro and use titanium for the Galaxy S24 Ultra. Copycats, copycats, copycats. Yeah, we've already got it.
Well,
So-
you know, what it really comes down to is, did Apple even really need to do it? It's like, okay, so you've got a titanium
Guy,
case,
and
guy. The screen will still break if it lands on the corner. So,
Guy.
okay. Yeah.
Guy, it's Apple. Of course they had to do it. iPhone sets a quarterly revenue record in China. And the Mr. Tim Cook, CEO, good morning, is very optimistic about the Chinese market. And Gene Munster says Apple's doing better than it looks. China concerns were overblown. Yes, well, we shall see. Apple's extended return policy is now in effect for the 2023 holiday season. Apple last week indicated that its extended return policy is now in effect for the 2023 holiday season. The policy applies to most products that Apple sells, including iPhone, iPad, Mac, Apple Watch, accessories, and more. In the US, Canada, UK, Australia, New Zealand, Germany, France, Netherlands, Singapore, and many other countries, most products purchased between November 3rd and December 25th of this year may be returned through January 8th, 2024.
I like to return them before I even get them.
I think that's a really wise move.
Well, yeah,
Apparently, Washington, D.C., like New York City, is using AirTags to crack down on car thefts, Guy.
Really? So
Apparently.
they got bait cars out there that they put these tags in?
I'm only reading the headlines, Guy.
Okay, I'm sorry.
You want me to read the story and go further, then, you know, it becomes a completely different...
Be quiet, guy.
It's not snippets, is it?
Slap, slap, slap.
Good grief, what do you take me for? Someone who does his research? Don't be stupid.
Come on, Walter Cronkite, let's go here.
Natasha Dash, an Apple employee, she took to Instagram to condemn Zionists for being murderers and thieves, has been fired from Apple. Just thought I'd let you know that. Yeah, I'm just telling you what the headline says. Leave it there. Apple slams Android as a massive tracking device in an internal slide that was revealed in a Google antitrust battle. No wonder Apple wanted to restrict the amount of information that was coming out in some of these antitrusts. And that, Guy, is the end of Gaz's snippets. However, as I said, I do have some Gaz's links, but I'm not going to talk about them because I've already spoken about them. And they are 2 links to the article from the Apple support item on iPhone and the Apple discussions thread on the Sonoma desktop issue that I'm having. And I've finished all snippets and all links.
And these links will, of course, be in the show notes for this show over at mymac.com. So once you've downloaded the show from whatever download catcher for podcasts that you use, go on over to mymac.com, go to the show notes for episode 954 of the mymac.com podcast, and you will see the links there. Now,
hey, Guy.
Yeah.
I think our last week's predictions were spot on, weren't they, Guy?
Well, hang on a minute. I don't know about that.
Well, yeah, but we said there would be new iMacs.
Okay, but
and we said there would be 24-inch iMacs.
I'll give you that, but we did say that there would also be other new Macs.
Yeah, well, of course. I also said that the show would be around 30 minutes.
You said 40 to 45 minutes.
Yeah, like I said, around 30 minutes.
Okay. All right, smart guy. What happened to the Mac Mini, the Mac
Yeah.
Studio, and
Yeah.
that we didn't think that there would be new MacBook Pros, and there's no MacBook Airs, and we kind of missed all of that.
Yeah, that's true. So what the hell was that all about then?
Well, it was a 30-minute event dominated by talking about the M3 processor in such detail that the only frightening thing was whether we'd fall asleep before any actual hardware was discussed. And if I lived in the UK and had stayed up until midnight to see this event, and the first 15 to 20 minutes are, let's go into excruciating details on the M3 processor and the other two variants that we're going to release with this iteration. It's like, no, come on. Just say, okay, this one has this many, this one has this many, it does this, this, and this, and it's going to be good for this. And you could have been done with that in 5 minutes. 5 minutes is all that would have taken.
So all of those people that stayed up and then started listening with great excitement possibly fell asleep in the first 15, 20 minutes and then missed the release of the Macs.
Yeah, basically. You know, I might have gone the other
Works for me.
where we talk about the new released hardware, and then we go into greater detail on what that hardware, how it's enhanced by, a new processor. But it's like, no, let's talk about this processor in such technical detail that no one is really going, well, not no one, but most people are just going to be like, okay, so it's faster and it does more stuff. That took 5 seconds. It's faster and it does more stuff.
Look, as I said, every keynote could be done in 20 minutes, guy. Come on. I've said that before.
Okay. Yeah, you did say that. I don't necessarily agree with that, but yeah, you did say that.
Yeah.
But because it's there, let's talk about the M3 processor. So the things that all three of these had in common. See, exactly. There you go, right there. So they're all on the 3-nanometer processor. The GPU is featuring a next generation architecture, dynamic caching, mesh shading, and ray tracing, which, I mean, I'm making fun of it, but that's actually kind of a big deal because the M1 and M2 does not do that. The M3 regular is a 8 core central processor. 8-core processor. 4 of those cores are high performance, and the other 4 are efficiency cores, and an 8 to 10 core GPU, depending on which model that you get. And the amount of RAM that these machines have is weird. It's like I was so used to 4, 8, 16, 32, 64, 128. Well, the M3 will get you up to 24 gigs of memory. 24.
It's a new architecture, guys. It's a new architecture. Run with it, man.
It is. And the speed in which the memory is accessed has actually decreased from the M2. But in no such of a way that anyone who's actually using it is going to notice. So, I mean, this stuff just does everything so quickly. The next one was the M3 Pro, which gets you up a 10 to 12 core CPU, 6 to 8 high performance and 4 efficiency cores, 14 or 18 core GPU, up to 36 gigs of memory. And the last one is the M3
Yes, but
Max.
we get back to normality here.
Well, in just a minute we will. M3 Max, 12 to 16 core CPU, 30 to 40 core GPU, and up to, yikes, 128 gigabytes of memory, assuming that you're part of the royal family and that you have access to the treasury. You can get up to 128 gigs of RAM in your new MacBook Pro. But speaking of new Macs, which we're obviously not going to talk about minis or studios, the first one they rolled out with, Gaz, was the new 24-inch iMac. Same screen size. It's a 4.5K Retina display. And it's beautiful. Lots of colors. And it's much faster than the M1 Mac, which almost said a bad word there. So close. For goodness sakes, why wouldn't it be? Shouldn't it be faster than an M1, which was two generations
the
ago?
door. It's faster.
What? And I think it starts at $12.99.
Yeah,
Now,
but
for the MacBooks,
but Guy, it 24 inches is the perfect size between the old 21-inch and the old 27-inch. It's the perfect compromise.
Well, that's what Apple says.
Yeah, I know.
and before we get off the iMacs, I know that a lot of people were very disappointed that there wasn't a 27-inch or the rumored 32-inch iMac. But honestly, people, those days are done. You're not going to see an iMac with pro features. It's not going to happen.
No, it's not going to happen. There is a big enough market for the 24-inch size, but can I also say, Guy, they still missed a point because the keyboard and the mouse, I think, still have lightning connectors on them.
Really? I must have missed that. I didn't even know that the iMac used lightning cables for the keyboard and the mouse.
Well, it's got, I don't know whether it comes out of USB-C out of the iMac at the back because I haven't looked at it closely, but the keyboard that it comes with is still, I think, lightning connectors.
See, that's ridiculous.
Yep.
Everything else in Apple's lineup, well, most everything else is USB-C.
Well, it's moving towards USB-C, so you'd have thought they'd have taken the opportunity. But there you go. Gives them an opportunity next year. Gives them an opportunity next year to have another update.
Yeah. What? After just a few months? That never happens. Let's talk about the MacBooks. Of course, the 13-inch MacBook Pro with the touchscreen little thingy. What did they call that? Touch bar?
Touch bar.
Yeah. Gone. History. Yeah, that's what a lot of people said. And if you were like one of the 1 or 2 people that really, really enjoyed using the touch bar, we're sorry. Put a nail in it because it's done. So the one that's replaced it, it's a 14-inch screen, just the regular M3, starts at $15.99, and of course can go to ridiculous amounts of money depending on how many upgrades that you put in it. And I think it starts with 8 gigs of RAM still, which is like, come on, just give it 16. Why are you even bothering with that?
Well,
for $15.99, 16 gigs of RAM.
But
or
the thing is, Guy,
yeah,
that for most people actually is quite good. But if you're going to buy a Pro, then
it should have Pro features. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I understand the MacBook Air starting with 8 gigabytes of RAM because that's not intended, and yes, it is very, very capable of doing pro level work. But that's not what it was designed to do. That wasn't how it's marketed. Anything that says has Pro in the label should have at least 16 gigs of RAM. Start with 16. Anyway, it's almost like Apple does this to upsell to make more money, but that can't be it. I'm sorry. I just don't understand that. So the next one is 14-inch, and it's either the M3 Pro or M3 Max with, it starts at, and these are all US prices, obviously, $19.99, $2,000. And that's still kind of crazy sauce that it starts with 8 gigs of RAM. And of course, the last one is the 16-inch M3 Pro or Max for $24.99. And both the models that can use either the M3 Pro or M3 Max can have, again, depending on your trust fund, can have up to 8 terabytes of storage. 8 terabytes of storage. And up to 128 gigs of RAM. Now, the most amazing part of these updates, and I mean, we've been seeing this the whole time with the M series, just how much better the battery life has been. I mean, and it's not even close. It's not even close. 18 to 22 hours of battery life, assuming that all you do is play solitaire on your Mac. On that flight from New York to Singapore, some of those super long distance flights. Actually, let me ask you something real quick. What's the longest flight you've ever been on, Gaz?
I think it was 12 hours.
And straight through. I'm not talking about landing and then taking off again.
Yeah.
Where were you going?
South Africa.
Oh, okay. Mine kind of works that same way. Coming back from South Africa to London, and it was 14 to 15 hours on a 747.
Yeah, I was on a quicker plane.
Well, in my case, this was in the 80s, and South African Airlines wasn't allowed to overfly any other African country, so they had to go all the way around.
Yeah, you're right.
All the way around. But it was still a pretty good flight. It was only like a quarter full, so I just grabbed an entire row of seats and just took a nap, and that's what I did there. And so is there anything else about these things in the event that you want to talk about?
What was it with Kate Bergerac's? Yes, I know it's Bergerons, but UK people will get the Bergerac link, all right? What was it with Kate's shaggy like goatee that she was wearing, Guy?
I don't think she has a goatee.
She definitely. If you go, I think it's to 13 minutes and 22. You can see Kate Bergerac, and you'll see she's got a goatee beard. She has a little goatee, just here, little goatee.
Oh, we talked about this earlier. That was lighting, and they had all sorts of lighting.
All sorts of lighting.
All sorts of lighting.
Well, the sorts of lighting they had, Guy, made Kate look like she'd got a goatee when it was actually shadow. Now,
yes.
Can I say to everybody, you will not see it if you now go and have a look at the video. And everybody's been jumping up and down about the wonderful lighting. And I've actually mentioned it in the snippets, the link to how they did the filming. If they filmed her on an iPhone with all the lighting and stuff, check the goatee.
Yeah. And for Scooby-Doo fans, it kind of looks, and I
just like
Shaggy's. It looks like Shaggy from Scooby-Doo. And the crazy part is, when I first turned it on and I was watching, it's like this. I don't know what Gaz is talking about. It's like, oh, I see it now. And the problem is, once you see it, you can't unsee it. Would you agree with that, Gaz?
I think I would, Guy. Yes.
He's nodding his head.
Hit it. Gaz's tips.
Mostly.
Gaz's
all right there.
tips.
Mostly.
Right here.
Gaz's tips.
It's time for
Gaz's tip.
Ruh-roh.
Gaz's tip.
Could you actually do a Gaz's tip in a Scooby-Doo voice the entire time?
No, I'll have to practice. Okay.
Yeah, we're not going to do that this week.
Okay, it'll ruin my throat. That's I've just realized that I've said here. I'll come back to it.
Okay.
Because I've just got a note to myself in this tip. Just check this.
See if it actually does what I say it's going to do.
No, because I think it might change, but I'll leave it in, and then people can message us if it's wrong. Anyway, I know I've done some of these before, but it's never a bad idea to be reminded, Guy. Do you want an accent marked letter whilst typing? Well, remember to press and hold the letter and the options of the umlaut, because that's the sort of stuff that you'd be possibly looking for with an accent. will appear. This is also a Mac and an iOS trick. So if you press and hold that letter, you will see the options. They come up with numbers. So if you press the number at the same time very quickly, it will actually come up with that. Or you can use your mouse.
So
to
what kind
select
of accent is it, Gaz?
Whatever set of accent you like.
Does your dog bite?
Don't know about you, but I often find myself wanting to type a degree symbol. Well, on the Mac, if you use option 0,
Are you checking it right now?
No, I just can't understand what I've written here. And again, pressing hold for the Mac, check, and iOS brings up the option up.
I have that problem with my brain when I just speak out loud.
Yeah, well, I basically, I'm just going to check it now. But if I go option 0, I get the degree 0. That's exactly right. But I've then gone on and written something which has completely confused myself. So I won't say that second bit. Shift option K, Guy, on the Mac, certainly, as I'm sure most of you are aware, brings up the Apple logo, because a lot of people like bringing up the Apple logo. Control, Command, and Space brings up the character viewer on the Mac, which helps if you want to find something. Though, if you're actually writing a word, using that combination might bring up a suggestion if you're already started the word. However, if you type Control, Command, and Space again, the full viewer will appear. And Guy's not watching me.
Oh, yes, I was.
Because I'm
completely
nodding
in control
my head
of my entire body.
Hit it. That's the end of Gaz's tips. That's the end of Gaz's tips. That's the end of Gaz's tips.
Is that the end of the tip?
Will you let me finish?
Gaz, you are absolutely right.
There we go. I am so glad that I've included all of those sound effects
in one.
In one. So I don't have to sit there and go, It's all right there.
You're so clever.
There we go.
Now, I've got a picksake.
Oh, tell me. I don't.
Okay, so it's basically a link. Now, it might be a link to the UK BBC Sounds website, but everybody, if you look for, if you can get this outside the UK, and I'm sure you should be able to, it's called Eras, so ERAS. And there's one on Kylie Minogue, which there's a lot of people out there that like Kylie Minogue. And then this series, a series of 6 episodes talking about the Beatles. Now, the first 5 episodes are really talking about the early days and, you know, from start through to finish, you know, when they split up and there are a few deaths, unfortunately. But the last one, number 6, although it's still talking a little bit about the end, also talks a lot about that latest record and how they did it on a few of them. And it talks about the anthology as well. But it specifically talks on how modern technology helped them find the voice of John Lennon amongst the really bad recordings that they had of it. So it's called Eras, and it's the Beatles. There are 6 episodes. There is a link. See if you can get to it. It might take you through to another one, but it's on BBC Sounds. And
it's going to be much shorter than Get Back, which was the other anthology series they did on the Beatles. That was,
yes, they're about 25. I mean, there's 6 episodes and they're about 20-25 minutes each. So that's,
I couldn't even tell you how long the Get Back one was. He basically, I think it was Peter Jackson that took everything they recorded during the Let It Be sessions, which originally was going to be called Get Back, and he cut out like almost nothing. The original movie that you could see from those same sessions was called Let It Be, and it was like an hour and a half, maybe a little bit longer, and it was the perfect length for something like this. I tried watching the one that Peter Jackson put together, and it was like, oh my God, it's like The Hobbit with 2 extra movies all over again. I couldn't get all the way through it. And believe me, I love the Beatles, but no, I just couldn't get all through. I just couldn't get through that whole thing. Gaz, because people contact us in different ways, do you have any feedback from anybody this week?
I do not.
Okay. I wanted to get that out of the way before I said this. We got some audio feedback from.
Sorry, I did get that feedback, but because
Yeah.
I know that you got that feedback, I didn't mention it.
Yeah, from Marcus Benjamin. And believe me, Marcus, we appreciate all the feedback that we get. And the fact that you self-censored it was greatly appreciated. So I'm going to play that right now.
I can't believe you censored the word in your after show. Normally, all kinds of is in the after show, and you don't censor that, but you've censored out the word. You could leave in the word ass because technically that's a donkey, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, enjoy your show still. I'm out, Marcus from Minnesota.
Thank you, Marcus from Minnesota. And
Brilliant.
I should probably be said that he actually did not censor that original clip. And I have the original, but I'm not going to play it right here because that's not what we do. And also, talking about not so much feedback, but support for the show. And it's not that feedback isn't, but this was kind of, I don't really even know what to say. Warren Sklar, who's a longtime friend of the show, longtime friend of mine, made a very, very generous donation, and not even through the usual sources, which I'll talk about in a second. He actually did it right through Apple Pay. And when it first came in, Gaz, I contacted him because it was kind of like, this can't be real. But no, it was. So thank you, Warren. You have no idea how much I appreciate the fact that you sent that in. That really, really does help in paying for the monthly stuff that I put out in order to do all the things that I do with this show. If you would like to make another donation that was of that same bit, that would be wonderful. Thank you. You don't have to, though. Of course, we'll keep doing this show no matter what, but you can do it through Patreon. Patreon.com/MacParrot. You can make one-time donations through our coffee page, ko-fi.com/MacParrot, or you can pay a pal through PayPal. Yeah, paypal.me/MacParrot. Now, Gaz.
What?
If people wanted to contact you and say, how can I give a ridiculous amount of money to Guy, how could they do so?
Well, you can't.
Oh.
Okay.
It's disappointing.
Yes, they can.
Oh, good.
Send an email to gaz@mymac.com, G-A-Z.
Yes.
mymac.com. All of the socials, including people in the UK, again, will know what I mean when I do that. And, Mastodon, Counter Social, and what's the Threads? I'm on Gazmaz.
Oh.
Just look for Gazmaz.
You actually got on the Threads?
I've been, when it first
done
came
it
out
yet.
on it, I have to grab Gazmaz. I've got to grab Gazmaz, you see.
Before somebody else
Actually,
does.
I'd already got it because I'm Gazmaz on Instagram. So I'm on Instagram as well as Gazmaz. Just go Gazmaz, Gazmaz. You'll find me
Cars.
somewhere. You can also contact us on, which is Guy and Gaz, GYANDGAZ. Now, guys,
Cars.
there is also one other email process that you can use to send us email and feedback, which is exactly that. It's feedback, FWDBACK, at mymac.com.
Guy's the one.
He is. Or I am. I don't
His
know.
name was Guy.
Did they mean Guy
You know
Fawkes?
it was a guy?
It is.
He's the guy.
Guy.
Guy?
Get up, Guy.
Hi, Guy.
So,
I like that
Guy.
one.
My guy?
Who are you really?
Guy.
Guy?
Guy.
Guy.
If you want.
An
An email.
from Guy.
There we
No
go.
fooling.
Oh, thank you.
How would they do it?
You go to the email client of your choice, and then you would type in.
Do you want it?
Yeah! There we go. At mymac.com. GUI at mymac.com. You can also find me on the Xers as either Mac Parrot or Vert Shark. There's also Counter Social and Mastodon.social where I am Mac Parrot as well. Now, Gaz, we have a Google Voice number, don't we? I think that's what Marcus used, a Google Voice number.
Oh, it is. And the number
There
is
you
703 828 4677. Anybody think that this is made up as we go along?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm feeding you these lines, and it's like, come on.
Yeah, okay. Let me give you that again. Our Google
Okay.
Voice number is 703 828 4677.
We would love for you to call that number, which again is 703 828 4677. And just like Marcus, if you use lots of cuss words, I will have to spend some time in Hindenburg and kind of bleep them out. But that's okay. We love the feedback. And I guess this is the part of the show where we're kind of wrapping things up and we say thank you in all sincerity. Thank you so very, very much for downloading and listening. Freaking listen, damn it, to the MyMac.com podcast. We do greatly appreciate it. And Gaz, I think we're good enough.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're sometimes we're smart enough, except when we predict stuff. And
No
that
fooling.
yeah, exactly. Doggone it. Wilf. I can't even say Wilf now. Wilf. That amazing pup that is just fades into the background if you don't pay attention. People like us.
Tell you what, Guy,
Yeah.
our local graveyard is looking really overcrowded. People must be dying to get in.
I thought, I almost said it, but I thought that's where you were going with that.
And
So you can all go home and there's nothing to worry about. Get out of here now. Go on home and go home.